Welcome to our second vid at the Pup Safe project, where we've got a number of pups and trainers and organisers here to talk about safety in human pup play on a broad scale. And today we're talking about protocols. Protocols are simply rules, guidelines. They're simply established rules that both parties agree to. Earlier video we talked about consent and how important consent is and how it can be implied or explicit. Whether you actually expect something to happen and it's followed through, or whether you actually directly ask for it. A protocol lets everybody involved know what's meant to happen and when it's meant to happen. I'm just going to start personally. As an owner of pups and a trainer for a number of years, I do have a set of rules and protocols that I expect my pups to follow, and I think there is a reasonable broad sensibility that trainers and owners have towards pups. One is that as an owner that you will actually be responsible in your behaviour towards a pup, that you won't be harming them, that you won't be an irresponsible person. You have a care for their safety and well-being. Now, unfortunately, there are people in the world who don't take that first protocol on board. Clearly, you should fuck them off and not spend any time with them. No one should be around people who don't have your well-being or your safety at heart, no matter what you're doing, fetish or not. So moving beyond that, as an owner, I also like to have protocols of how a pup should behave in public, to not be disruptive, how they should behave towards other pups within the pack, which is to be in a positive and engaging manner. But some packs, some groups may have a deeper or abiding level. They may want more family orientation, or in my pack, it's not, you do not have to be intimate. You don't have to be sexually intimate with every pack member, but you just have to simply be at least friendly and engaged and interested. As an owner though, I have collars. I use a collar which signifies for the pup that they wish to follow me and be owned by me. And by ownership, it means in the human pup play world, I am responsible for that person who is a human pup. I'm responsible for helping them be a human pup and to territorial, like in a bit of territorialness, guard them from other people who might be predatory towards them, or also to be associated with them. A collar immediately associates you. And for a lot of pups, the collar means a lot more, and it can be a very deeply personal relationship between an owner and a pup. But that's an example of a protocol. I also have a protocol of I don't want any of my pups engaging in human pup play with other owners or trainers or sirs or mistresses without my permission first. Just simply because it causes confusion for different ways of training and behaviour. That's not uncommon for owners and trainers to have that kind of protocol or rule. But I'm going to hand it over to Taylor and Gpup here to talk about how in different circumstances. Before I do that though, there is something that often occurs when you first meet a human pup. There are established protocols as too. Like if you're a pup and you're going off to meet a master for the first time, I think you need to have an expectation as a pup that you will be putting a hood on, perhaps a tail in, but you will certainly be getting on all fours, or you'll be behaving in a human pup way from your first meet. Because most owners want to see if a person is prepared to behave like a human pup at least. You also have to be prepared for some level of intimacy, and that's where the protocol can be established right away. If you're a pup who's got a partner and you don't want to have a sexual relationship with your owner, state it right up front. I want to have a protocol of we can be intimate, you can touch me, but no sexual touching, or my partner comes to watch human pup play as well. So you need to be forward and establish these rules with your potential owner as a pup. You want to talk about group
Yeah, look, absolutely. And like, say for example, pups going out to the pub. Now, this is becoming more and more common. It wasn't common, say, 5, 10 years ago. It was very unusual to see pups. But now you can go to, usually it's a leather bar or a kink-oriented bar, and you will have pups present. Now, there's a few things to be aware of, and I like to go by that don't be a fuckwit rule. It's really that simple. So when you're in pup mode, no matter how deep in pup space you are, it's not okay to knock people. It's not okay to start humping people's legs. And it's not okay to hit people in a way that they might spill their drink. That's just rude behaviour. So it's really, really important. Some people, when they go to the pub, are going because they want to unwind from work, they want to catch up with friends, or they just want to have a drink. They may not necessarily want to have a chat with pups. So it's about being respectful of other people's space and other people's boundaries. If you're near somebody and they're quite clear that they don't want to get involved in any of the stuff, then that's okay. Just go to someone else, do something else, entertain yourself in another way. And this is vice versa as well, in that if you are not a pup, but you're encountering other pups in the situation, things like it's not okay to pull on people's hoods. It's not okay to pull on a pup's tail. They can sometimes be inserted anally, and it's really painful and potentially traumatic to have a tail ripped out of your ass. It's very, very painful. So it's not okay to be doing those sort of things if you are encountering pups in the pub. Other common things that are just respectful, that if you're talking with somebody, take your hood off. One, it makes your voice a heck of a lot clearer. And two, we get almost, 95% of our verbal information is through the ears, but we get so much more context to the conversation by being able to read a person's face. If they're wearing a hood, it can be quite easy for simple things said to be misinterpreted, and it's a little bit rude to be talking to somebody when you're wearing a hood if they're not an owner or they're not experienced with dealing with pups. But basically, I would really recommend, if you're in a pub situation, particularly if this is the first time you've gone to a pub, talk to the bar staff and say, hey, is it all right if I put my hood on? I'm a human pup and I enjoy pup play. Are you guys pup friendly? That's a really good place to start, because the last thing you want to do is be getting kicked out of the bar for pissing off the staff. So don't do that. And the other thing is just go in slowly. Just don't be in people's faces initially. And if somebody comes up to you and wants to interact with you, then you can base the relationship with that person after that. But initially, I wouldn't be too forceful. You don't want to be that annoying, yappy chihuahua that just pisses everyone off, because they're the ones who get kicked and booted out of the way. Well, that's my gut feeling anyway, but yeah.
And at a mosh, what type of protocols do you see are usually enforced there?
Yeah, so moshes, it does come down to different organisers and that, but in general terms, the organisers will always try their best to be approachable. Don't ever feel like, oh, they're high up, I can never talk to them. If they should be ones that you can just stroll up to and they'll have a smile on their face and ask you, what's up, any questions? If anything's wrong, you just tell them and they'll just step in and intervene just to make sure everyone's safe. On a mosh floor, it's expected that people aren't going to be having a conversation. You're going to be using barks and howls and body language to communicate. But if there's anything important, like an injury, it's expected that they're going to talk. It's someone that's had a fractured ankle, and someone might tap them on the ankle, and they'll turn around and go, "Don't do that." And something quick and simple like that can communicate a lot. But if you're not on the mosh floor, then talking to other people, talking about pup stuff or not pup stuff, that's perfectly acceptable.
It's pretty much, it's how a lot of what protocols are is common sense etiquette and behaviour. But underlying them is the idea that you're going to have these rules so that both parties agree to them and that they look after both people. So if you are at a pub, it is really important, like at a pub or a bar, to have some protocols of behaviour, because people can get a bit inebriated and a bit drunk and loosen their behaviour, but knowing some rules and expectations beforehand, when you are kicked out because you've been a rowdy shit, it won't be such a surprise, and everyone else will understand. And especially at a mosh, keep in mind of the safety. People can get rowdy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's important to have established rules and protocols. So don't be afraid of them. Engage them. Use them. Whether you're an owner, a trainer, an organizer of events, or whichever venue, no matter which venue you're at, whether in your private home or a pub or at a play space, rules and protocols are very important.